you're the only one remaining. Marjorie and you were the only two that were pushing for COVID accountability, COVID truth. Well, it's funny how the overlap is. COVID accountability, January 6th, you're the only one that was going after the pipe bomber, and you still are, trying to get the truth of that. And then the Fed's direction. That, right?
This was, they missed the whole pipe
Why are you the
bomber
only
thing.
one? Seriously, why are you the only one with the courage to go after the hard questions answering them?
I think on the pipe bomb and other associated things, like Ray Epps, the people up here have been tricked. Like, if you repeat a lie long enough, they start believing it, and even my colleagues start believing it. So it's easier to believe the narrative than it is to actually find out what went
put in
on.
the work to determine.
Look on the Epstein files.
Yeah,
they released binders as if all the Epstein files could fit in a set of binders, right?
Yeah.
Well, we were going to get phase 2 eventually. We knew there was more than one binder, maybe 2, maybe 3.
And it never happened,
right?
Because it would hurt somebody's friends.
Well, it never happened. And then, if you remember, their effort to stop my bill was to release 30,000 documents. Oh my gosh, 30,000 Epstein files. Who knew there were so many? And that we don't need Massie's bill now.
Right.
But then as you go through those, they didn't. But what they were doing was giving people a lie so that they could, like my colleagues, could feel in good faith they could go back and say, well, the oversight committee got 30,000 documents released. What more could you possibly want? So a lot of times it's that meme, inconvenient truth, comfortable lies. There's
right.
a big long line for the comfortable lies, whether it's January 6th or COVID or Epstein or the deficit, which has gone up 2.7.
What happened to your ticker tape?
I just got a bill passed. And so when you stand at the microphone and address the speaker, that's the only place they won't let me wear my debt badge.
Oh, so you haven't put it back on?
I thought it was more important to get a bill passed than to wear my debt badge.
So I'm a constitutionalist just like you are. And a lot of people said that you should be well suited to be the next America First president. I'm of the opinion that you should consider becoming the Speaker of the House because you know the rules. Essentially, you've already proven up with the Epstein Files Transparency Act of how to maneuver the system, and having served on the Rules Committee last Congress, to then use that knowledge, expertise, and leverage that you've been able to build to be the Speaker of the House. And here's how you get 218 votes.
But to do what?
Here's how.
To drain the swamp?
To drain the swamp and doge it.
Yeah.
And how I recommend this is if you meet with Elon Musk, convince him to provide you all of the Twitter DMs of every member of Congress and their staffers. That will provide you sufficient blackmail, more than Epstein Files has, through that information to get those 218 votes.
Yeah.
You probably get 400 votes.
No, I don't think that's a good path.
If they fail to doge, according to how you and Elon decide, then Elon funds their primary opponent in contravention to Miriam Adelson and Paul Singer's money.
He found it was easier to provide internet to Antarctica, land rockets backwards, and get cars to drive themselves than it was to fix this place.
Yeah.
So
that was a lot easier.
Yeah.
To come up with
all three of those are a lot easier than getting this place to cut 10% or 1%.
Wow.
Congressman, why was there initial resistance from the Trump administration on fully releasing the Epstein files and passing the Transparency Act? And how do you view that now, given this has become a key reason for the primary challenge against you?
Well, ultimately, he signed the bill.
Yeah.
So
he's on board.
He's not an obstructionist at this point. I think we're still not going to know as long as there's no prosecutions in this country. Like it's almost like you have diplomatic immunity if you're an Epstein co-conspirator in this country, but step into Great Britain, step into Norway, step into France, and you'll get arrested, indicted, or investigated.
Well, at least you were able to get Obama's fixer, the general counsel for, was it Goldman, I think it was?
Yeah, I mean, and then there are some people who are their hides are on the wall, right, so to speak, here in the United States, but no government person, which is what we saw overseas.
It's just embarrassment rather than any sort of prosecution.
Right, well, there's still accountability in the private sector. There's just not in government. But, I mean, I think you saw part of the answer. When we pulled back the curtain, we saw Howard Lutnick went to Epstein Island, the guy behind Trump on the airplane, when you see him, the guy whispering in his ear behind the Oval Office, was going to Epstein Island. and lying to us about having never done anything with Jeffrey Epstein since he visited him long ago. That should be a major red flag.
We see no accountability. Even on Ray Epps, I heavily covered January 6th. We obtained FBI interviews in which he's lying to the FBI, which is a felony of like 5 years a prison sentence. Why no prosecutions?
I think the members of Congress have not asserted their power. They haven't taken the reins, and they're too content to let the staffers do it. And the staffers aren't accountable to voters.
Right.
And 95% of staffers are good people here, and we rely on them. But you can change the course of things just by getting a few staffers to do things here and there. So look. We could bring every one of these administrative agencies to heel if we would just cut their funding.
Yeah.
But we won't even
Easy.
withhold money for one toner cartridge at the FBI. The next time they say, well, we're not going to tell you that, it's our policy not to tell you that, all we need to say is, it's like, turn around and strip another dollar bill out of their
What about creating Article 1 courts that fall under the Speaker of the House and the Senate Majority Leader, where you essentially order through the sergeants at arms and compel whether it's testimony or detention for those that don't listen? Like, for example, the 30-day requirement. You could bring in a Todd Blanche.
You could do that, and that's what inherent contempt is
Right.
about. And it's been done, but we already have the tools we need. We got the appropriations
There's no
process.
political
There's not
courage
the
to do
will.
it.
There's not the courage or the will.
What is one last minute message you'd like to get out to the voters in your district?
Can you talk about that while you're here?
He asked it. I can't initiate it, but I would just say to you, how do you want this place to function? Do you want a bunch of rubber stamps that are following whatever the deep state up here tells them to do? Or do you want somebody that votes on principle? That's the referendum. Do you want somebody that serves the constituents or somebody that serves the corporations and the deep staters?